Let's get back to chapter 10 of the Progeny.
Yeah,
Shall we begin?
I think we
Yes.
shall.
You wore a torn black drape in the center of a conference room table, a sole piece of evidence of a crime with no culprit. You were surrounded by the highest officers of the Imperial Central Office judicialship, the High Actuary, head of auditorization, the lead showman, head of trial presentation, and of course, the highest-ranking teal in the Alternian Royal Fleet, the head legislacerator. Accompanying them is a handful of clowns and a very frightened Goldblood. The Goldblood, an unfortunate security system operator who happened to be on duty during the time of the security blackout that caused this mess, has been the subject of interrogation for the past half hour. The three teals tower over him as one of the clowns bends his arm in directions no arm should be bent.
I told you, I have no idea what caused the blackout. One moment all the cameras were on, and the next they were. Ah!
Clown bends his arm so far back you hear a sickening crunch. The head legislacerator paces around the interrogatee's chair.
The prison cameras and a not insignificant amount of teal-side cameras were reported to have been cut for a solid hour and a half. How exactly did it take you that long to notice the blackout if they were on one moment and off the next?
The Goldblood shrinks back into his seat.
I'm sorry, man.
He sputters.
I'll never slack off on the job again, I promise. No more naps, just let me go, please. He's right. He had nothing to do with it.
The lead showman says.
Someone just uncovered the security room tape. He was napping on the job.
The head legislacerator rolls her eyes.
Fine, he's innocent. Doesn't mean he didn't cause us a mess of trouble.
She points at the door, dramatically.
Throw him to his honorable tyranny. He's not even worth a trial at this point.
The clowns grab the Goldblood by his shoulders and drag him out of the room, kicking, screaming, and begging for his life. The head legislacerator sits down and runs her hands through her hair.
Still no closer to finding out who cut the cameras.
She grumbles.
Damn. I thought for sure he'd have something to do about it.
Perhaps it would be easier to find the culprit if we track the information we have rather than what we don't have.
High Actuary jumps in, gesturing to you, still at the center of the table.
I've already sent a horde of interns to check the inventory of every supply cost on the ship. Who knows how long that could take?
She replies.
Don't forget.
The lead showman adds.
The security cameras aren't the only pair of eyes we have in the prison. I'd say it's about time we bring in the snitch.
After not too long, the clowns return, this time carrying a cerulean-blooded girl with long hair and an extra eye. She struggles against the clowns, but with a lot less terror than the previous suspect.
Put me down.
She barks.
Do you even know who I am?
Oh, we know exactly who you are. One of the clowns bends down to her level, breathing directly in her ear. Don't think we forgot about your grub-tube crimes. She gulps as the two clowns plop her on the interrogation chair.
Prisoner 4013. Or should I say, Miss Carmia?
The head legislacerator's voice is as smooth as silk.
A player as important as you should be treated with some respect, no? Oh, legislacerator last. You do flatter me so. What do you need to know?
Head legislacerator leans in.
Was there any suspicious activity in the prisons right before the alarms went off last night? Any intruders or unusual visitors? Actually,
Armia thinks for a moment.
there were a couple strange visitors this wipe. One a few days ago, and another one last night.
Head legislacerator's eyes widen.
There was than one. What were they doing? I have no idea what the first ones were saying. There were two of them. One of them slapped the other for some reason. The one from last night, I could definitely hear, though. Not everything, but she was deafeningly loud at times. Wouldn't shut up about quadrants either. Quadrants? These trespassers broke our security system. Talk about quadrants.
He jumps at the sound of the head legislator's voice.
They were all at the angry little Jade Blood cell. Maybe she's become some sort of quadrant therapist. Angry Jade Blood.
The head legislator taps her chin.
Sergeant, pull up the records for any Jade Bloods currently in custody.
There's only one, sir.
The High Actuary opens a file and projects it across the room.
Prisoner 1130, Daria Johnjet, arrested for rebellious activity and illegal preservation of grubs, charged for high treason and set to be tried and executed in about half a sweep.
Add illegal quadrant therapy to those charges.
The legislator takes a seat and clasps her hands, grinning.
Thank you, Ms. Carmia. You've been a great help. Keep going like this, and we may be able to remove your charges without a trial. You may go.
She grins and stands back up, only to be lifted off the ground by the clowns once again, dragged kicking back to her cell. The head legislator leans back in her seat.
Take a brief recess, boys. When we come back, you will be questioning one Daria Johnjet.
3 teals break over a brief lunch break. When a younger teal bursts through the doors, papers in hand.
Head legislator Lash. Ma'am, we've inventoried the supply closets.
The intern is panting, leaning on the door jamb.
Give them here.
The head legislator sighs.
I suppose we'll be ending our recess a little early.
The 3 heads of department pore over the notes, landing on a supply closet inventory circled in red.
Pull up the cameras for supply closet 3.
The head legislator barks. The lead showman makes his way over to the computer and scrolls through the camera's records.
Completely blacked out at the time of the breach.
Yes, obviously.
She rolls her eyes.
What about before the breach? Any suspicious activity then?
Nothing unusual for a while. Oh, I found something.
The lead showman's eyes widen.
Argent, I think you're going to want to take a look at this.
The other 2 teals crowd around the computer to take a look. The High Actuary takes a step back when he sees the figure on screen, a very distraught teal blood in a pink blazer.
Still says yet. She's one of my most reliable new Oh no, that's the High Actuary.
That's the High Actuary.
Yeah, sorry.
Stelsa says yet. She's one of my most reliable new recruits. What could she possibly...
The High Actuary stops in his tracks and thinks for a moment.
Actually, it was rather suspicious when I found her out jogging while the alarms were going off.
The lead showman breaks off from the computer and leans back in his large plush office chair.
Well, looks like we found our culprit. Let's just arrest Seziat and go back to our lives.
Wait.
Head legislator jumps in.
Carmia mentioned 2 other intruders in the prison, and we still haven't found the source of the security breach.
I think I may have a guess as to who the other intruders could be.
High Actuary scrolls through the ship's legislator database and pulls up 2 files.
Neophyte Tizius Entic and Showmaster Tagora Gorjek. Both came from the same district in Alcla as Seziat. Entic is her registered mate Sprit, and the 3 of them spent an inordinate amount of time together. They escorted Seziat back to her quarters when the alarms went off, and found Gorjek waiting for her along with her mate Sprit.
The lead showman pouts a little.
You really think they're involved? Gorjek is one of the most promising new showmasters I've had in a long time. I'd hate to see him tried.
There isn't much evidence to prove either of them are involved with Seziat's treason.
The legislator adds.
But I have an idea on how the 2 of them can prove their loyalty.
Your name is Tizius Entek, and you're having your first normal evening in about a week. Yes, you've still got Daria's impending doom on your mind, but there's nothing you can do about that right now, so you're enjoying some takeout with Stelsa while Tagora gives himself a manicure on the lounge plank, keeping one eye on Karkat. As usual, Karkat is glued to his laptop, happily tapping away to whatever new friend he's managed to make today. You lightly tap Stelsa with your foot under the table, wordlessly telling her you're glad she's there. The last few nights were rough, to say the least, and you're just happy to have some semblance of normalcy for once. That brief moment of peace is interrupted with a sharp knock on the door, followed by a booming voice. Stelsa says yet, you're under arrest. Open up or face immediate culling. Tagora rockets off the lounge plank and grabs Karkat by the collar of his shirt, dragging him down the back hallway and tossing him into the ablution block. You and Stelsa approach the door, both shaking. She cautiously unlocks the door, but before she's able to turn the knob, the voice on the other side swiftly opens the door and enters. A senior legislacerator with a clipboard steps through the entry, followed by two enormous purple bloods who grab Stelsa and lift her up by the shoulders. One of the purples shoves you out of the way, sending you careening to the floor next to the culinary block table. Stelsa says yet, you're charged for crimes of tampering with ship security, breaking and entering into an imperial prison, and illegal solicitation of quadrant advice. The legislacerator barks, reading off a list on his clipboard. You will be stripped of your auto-terrorizer duties for the time being, and you are set to be tried in one half sweep.
Illegal solicitation? What's going on?
Stelsa pleads. One of the clowns responds by twisting her shoulder until she cries out in pain. You have the right to remain silent. The legislacerator slams his hand on the clipboard. He turns heel and marches out the door, the two purple bloods following suit. Stelsa turns her head to you, tears in her eyes. You can't do anything but stare, petrified. As soon as the purple bloods leave, another figure steps through the door and walks up to you. You stare up, still splayed on the floor, at Head Legislacerator Tameen Lash, your boss and the most powerful teal blood in the galaxy.
I apologize for that interruption, Neophyte Entic. Those clowns can be so needlessly rough.
Lash helps you off the floor, then brushes her own suit off as if she'd been the one tossed across the room.
It's a shame about your mate, Sprit. Who would have thought she was capable of such high treason? The law is the law, however. I'm actually here to deliver some good news to you, Neophyte Entic. You too as well, Showmaster Gorgic. I'm glad I caught you here tonight.
She turns to Tagora, still frozen in place outside the ablution block.
The committee has decided you two are ready for your first trial.
She hands the two of you thick manila folders without awaiting a response.
The majority of the evidence has already been collected, so there's no need for a research team. You just work your magic that the lead showman has told me so much about, Mr. Gorgic. And you...
The legislacerator stares you straight in the eyes.
I cannot wait to hear your case in the trial and execution of Stelsa Says Yet.
Oopsie, what-oh. Uh-oh, what-oh.
Oh god, I love this fic.